Video, we are going to solve another question on changing the subject of equations that involves squares or square root signs. We will be solving two questions in this video. Let's consider the first one. P is equal to m plus s squared. Make s the subject of the equation. This example is pretty simple, so we are going to do it straight away. So P is equal to m plus s squared, and we are supposed to make s the subject of the equation. We know that in order to make a quantity or a variable the subject of the equation, we make sure that the terms containing that variable is on one side of the equation and all the other terms are on the other side of the equation. We want to make x the subject of the equation, so we make sure that the terms containing x are on one side of the equation and all the other terms are on the other side of the equation. So I will keep s squared on the right hand side here, then I will send m to the left hand side. So this will give us p minus m is equal to s squared. The question said we should make x the subject of the equation, not s squared. So what do? Because x is a square term, we have to square both sides of the equation in order to make x the subject of the equation. So we take a square root of the left hand side and we take a square root of the right hand side. Now when we do that, you will see that the squared will cancel the square root sign so that the x can stand alone or be the subject of the equation. So square root of p minus m is equal to x, or x is equal to square root of p minus m. So we have been able to make x the subject of the equation. Let's look at our second question. Make u the subject of the relation v is equal to 1 over 4 square root of 25 minus u squared. So this is our question and we have to make u the subject of this equation. Now we want to make u the subject of the equation. Because the variable we want to make the subject of the equation is under a square root sign, what we have to do? We have to square both sides of the equation in order to take the square root away or get rid of the square root or clear the square root. So the first thing you need to do is, if the variable you want to make the subject of the equation is under a square root sign, square both sides of the equation to clear the square root sign. So that's exactly what you are going to do. You square the term on the left hand side, then you square the terms on the right hand side. So we square everything on the left hand side, but that is only v, so we square v, which will give us v squared. Then we have 1 over 4 square root of 25 minus u squared, all of them squared. Okay, so we move on. This means that we are going to square 1 as we did in the previous video. You squared every single variable or number there, so you give the square to 1, so 1 squared. You squared 4, so 4 squared, then times, since there's no sign between them here, it means it's multiplication, times what is under the square root sign, or this whole term here. So square root of 25 minus u squared, you squared that whole thing too. Okay, let's move on. This will give us v squared is equal to 1 squared is 1, 4 squared will give us 16 times. Since this is a square root, as soon as you square it, you see that the square is going to cancel the square root. The square will cancel the square root so that you will get what is under the square root sign, which is 25 minus u squared. Okay, let's move on. Now we have this as a fraction. We have 1 over 16 as a fraction. How do we get rid of fractions? You multiply through by the LCM. The LCM here is 16. So we are going to multiply the left hand side by 16 and the right hand side by 16. The left hand side is v squared, so 16 times v squared. The right hand side is 1 over 16 times 25 minus u squared. So 16 times 1 over 16 times 25 minus u squared. When you continue with the simplification, you will see that you have 16 times v squared will give us 16v squared. Now this 16 will cancel this 16 to give us 1 here and 1 here. So we will have 1 times 1 times 25 minus u squared, which will give us 25 minus u squared. Remember once again that we want to make u the subject of the equation. So what do? We make sure that the terms containing u are on one side of the equation, then all the other terms are on the other side of the equation. Look at something here. U, the term containing u is negative. I want it to be positive. I want the term containing u to be positive. So I will send this u here to the left hand side. Then I'll bring 16v squared over to the right hand side. So this will give us, u is negative here, so when it goes there it becomes positive. So u squared is equal to 25 is already here, which is positive. 16v squared is positive. When it crosses to this side, it becomes negative. So we have u squared is equal to 25 minus 16v squared. I now have the term containing u on one side of the equation. But unfortunately, it's giving me u squared. The question said we should make u the subject of the equation, not u squared. So what do? We take square root of both sides of the equation. When we take square root of both sides of the equation, the squared can cancel the square root sign so that we will be able to obtain u. So I'll take square root of the left hand side, then square root of the right hand side. And this is going to give us u is equal to square root of 25 minus 16v squared. So from here to, we have been able to make u the subject of the equation. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos. Share the link with others so that they can also enjoy the videos. In the next video, we are going to take questions on changing the subject of equations that involves higher roots or higher powers. Bye-bye.